Once your design is fully drawn out and sketched ready to go, it's time to trace it so that we can get the reverse. I'm going to use a Sharpie to carefully trace over my design so that way I can see it through the paper, which will allow me to trace the reverse onto my foam plate. It's always crucial that we pay close attention to reversing our design so that way our letter is oriented correctly. If we do not trace the reverse of our illuminated letter, then it will print backwards. So we need to take this extra step to carefully trace so that we can see through the design on our foam block. So our foam block is the exact same size as our sketch paper. After I trace the entire thing, I would then turn it face down and I would place my foam right on top, and you can see that my design is visible through the paper. It also helps if you are able to tack these two together and hold it up to a window or a door so that you can easily trace through. I would then grab my ballpoint pen and carefully start tracing my design so that I begin to carve my illuminated letter. Now, sometimes, like we've talked about before, it's helpful to do more than one pass with your ballpoint pen if you feel like you're not getting smooth lines. So I like to go over it once kind of softly and then go over it a second time with more pressure. Here you can see I've not only traced my whole letter, but I've also gone ahead and traced the borders. I made sure to use a ruler when doing this so that I had straight, even lines. I'll continue to slowly outline all of the elements, including my dragonflies, my flowers, my filigree, and my diamonds. And once everything is placed onto my foam and outlined, I'll go back in and add details. Now that my basic design is filled out with contour lines, I'm going to go back in and start adding some detail. Things that I have already described in my sketch, some detail in my dragonflies and in my filigree. I also need to decide what areas I want to fill in or carve away with my ballpoint pen so that it prints the paper white. So I'm going to go ahead and start adding some details and veining to the wings of my dragonfly to give it more interest. I will add more veining to the filigree of my leaves over here. And I already decided that I want to fill in the letter D and the border around my details here for this interior space. That will make my flowers print black, my diamonds print black, my filigree print black, but leave the space, the negative space around those items white. Although it will be time consuming, I know that filling in the space of my letter is going to give me a big impact in my design. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this space in like I described so that it's repressed or depressed into the foam and ink will no longer catch on that area. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but it's going to be well worth it in terms of my design. I'm going to go ahead and do the same for the space between my flowers and all of my details in my interior border. I'm going to take some time, some patience, and fill all of that in until it's completely filled all the way around. Once the bulk of your design is carved away with your pen, it might be time to go in and check any more details that you think you might add. I'm considering filling in the interior of the flowers, the center, with my pen so that they print white in contrast with the petals. I would just go ahead and fill these areas in just like I did with my letter D and the negative space in my exterior border. Although it took some time and patience, I have a feeling it's going to be well worth it when I go to print it in a little while.